Pledge allegiance
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Amber Brown.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here. Joe
Machado. William Harper.
Here.
Renee Curtis.
Here.
Zane Cantrell. We have a quorum.
You have the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes?
They are correct. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Like sign.
Mr. Chairman, you need to do a roll call vote, and then following that, you should ask for a motion regarding the electric.
Minutes? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Our attorney has advised us we need to call a roll on this. So let's call a roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Okay, we are having a virtual meeting again, electronic, and we need to have a motion on that as well.
I so move.
Hey, would you read that, please, that motion?
I move that we have a virtual meeting.
That pursuant to Governor Lee's executive order, it is necessary to conduct this meeting electronically in order to protect health, public safety, and welfare.
And we have a second to it?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Zane Cantrell.
Yes. All right, we're ready to get into our agenda for today. And let me remind everyone, those of you who are calling in, who need to speak for the public hearing or any other part, let's try to keep our time in at 3 minutes, if at all possible. I think we can get a pretty good feeling of your position within that time limit. The first item we have is a request by Jake Lloyd, who is requesting a special exemption for fireworks stand. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. This application, 2020-10, involves a property at 3752 Shelbyville Pike. It's a request for temporary special exception approval allowing the sale of fireworks on the property located in the commercial services zone. And as you see, this is a site that's located along Shelbyville Pike across from the quarry. There are 2 carports that will temporarily be moved to the rear of the site for the tent location. And Mr. Lloyd has come before you for several years and received approvals for various sites throughout the county. This represents a new site, and therefore he needs special exception approval for this particular site. So the operation of the fireworks tent would be subject to all of the conditions for fireworks tents, and the sale will run through June 20th through July 5th, 8:30 to 10, and they will remain open till midnight on July 4th. And so staff found that the request met the criteria for a temporary special exception permit. So you can see this is kind of a site and traffic circulation plan that the applicant has provided us. We received 1 informational call. No one has indicated any opposition or being in favor of the request. And so these are photos of the surrounding area. It's along Shelbyville Pike, a 4-lane divided highway. And those are the carports. He will not be utilizing these carports for the purposes of the sale. They'll be moved. I guess they're easily movable. He's made an arrangement with the owner of the property that he would relocate them to the original spot once the sale is over. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? Or,
Yes, I'm here. Well, no, I'm not there. But
okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to add to this?
no.
But this
I
is,
don't-
this
I
site
don't believe so. Not
is,
unless y'all have any questions.
okay, this site is the first time you've used it, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on it, or call in on it, or be a part of this. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the request.
Have a motion to be approved. We have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Item is approved. The next item we have is a request by Pearlie Hilson, who is requesting a special exemption for a group child care home. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-11 involves the property located at 3411 Birchwood Circle. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of a group child care home upon a property located in the RM zoning district. And Ms. Hilson recently purchased this property. It will be her primary residence, and she is in the process of moving into the new residence. She would like to keep up to 12 children in the home. She has indicated that she would have 2 additional employees, that hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In conversations with the applicant, and she had addressed the drive way in her application. She has indicated that she would be willing to widen the driveway, and it's possible maybe install a loop if there were some concerns about people backing up into the Birchwood Circle. We found that the request met the criteria for special exception approval. We did receive many phone calls regarding this request. There were concerns about the operation of a commercial business in this residential area. She's not changing the zoning. She is simply asking for a special exception within the residential medium zone. There were concerns about traffic. Apparently, Rucker Lane already has issues with traffic. It was, can be difficult to get onto Rucker Lane. You have developments planned long-term across the street as part of the Victory Station Plan Unit development, and I understand even though it's delayed, there will be the project that widens Rucker Lane. So some of the traffic concerns were brought up to us, and I know that you'll hear from several of the neighbors that had concerns about the traffic. And that concludes our presentation. So but I'll advance through the picture so you can see the home site. This is an aerial directly over the existing home. We posted a sign on the property. This is, her driveway is adjacent, close to that stop sign at the intersection of Rucker Lane and Birchwood Circle and the surrounding properties. And she provided us with some sketches of the site, the existing improvements and fences. And that concludes our presentation.
Right, Mrs. Hilson, are you online now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, do you
I
have,
can hear you.
yeah, do you have anything else you want to add? Go ahead.
Nothing else, just wanted to verify the fact that I will be changing the driveway so that there won't be any reason to back directly into the highway, onto the street.
Any questions? I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am. when Rooker Lane is being widened, what is your alternative? Because when it's widened, it's going to get pretty close to that driveway that's existing now. So, what's your alternative method of fixing that?
Based on all of the temporary markers that they have out, that will not interfere with my driveway area. I have plenty of room between my home, my driveway, and the actual Rucker Lane Street. So there, it won't be a problem.
Have you spoken to the city about that?
And no, I have not.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so from a safety perspective with dealing with children, is your yard or your backyard, is that fenced, or do you intend on having that fenced?
It is temporarily fenced now, but I am in the process of having all of my property fenced in. So that entire, almost an acre, will actually have a private fence completely around it. The rear of the property.
Jerry?
Yes. So when you said that you would make changes to your driveway, are you talking about where they would pull in and go around and come out deeper into the street, or are you talking about just widening what is there? How the people
Yes,
going to
there
turn
will be
around?
I'm talking about widening what's there, plus allowing them an opportunity to actually kind of make a C-turn, and they will go out the same way. It won't necessarily be a two-way, but they won't have to back out. They will be able to come up front to the front of where the driveway is now, make a turn and go back completely around instead of backing up.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So
Thank
basically
you.
add like a speed breaker to that driveway.
We'll open this now pardon me? Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to participate in this. If you are online now.
Chairman Cantrell, I think, am I online?
Go ahead.
Chairman Cantrell, this is Hoyt Owen. I live at 3523 Meadowwood Drive, which is one street south of Birchwood. And I have lived in this general area since 1954, and in this particular subdivision since 1977. And we welcome anyone into our neighborhood. We have very little turnover in our neighborhood. It's a nice, stable, single-family residential development that was developed in the 1970s. And we have seen a lot of change in our area, and some good and some not so good. And of course, that's my opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But as far as this particular request, again, we welcome anyone to come and live in our neighborhood, and welcome all. But in our opinion, and my opinion particularly, that's the only one I could speak for as an expert. I'm an expert on my opinion, as they say. So we would ask that you consider the difference. I think Mrs. Hilson has a child care business in her home now that has been approved by the city of Murfreesboro to provide care for up to 4 children. And now she's requesting 12 children. And in our opinion, my opinion, this is a major expansion of her business, and going from providing services for 4 children, increasing that to 12 children, and then also with the ability to add 2 employees. That, to me, constitutes a business, not just a home run facility to take care of children. And I love children. I have children and grandchildren. And we need to consider the impact that this would have on our single-family established neighborhood. And that's what we're asking you to do, is to help us maintain the character of our neighborhood. This would be the first business like this in our neighborhood. And to me, it would start us down a slippery slope of changes in our neighborhood that we feel like would be detrimental. And also, in regards to the driveway, if I understand it right, there's an 80-foot right-of-way for Rucker Lane. It would be approximately 40 feet from the center line of the existing Rucker Lane now. And if you measure over approximately 40 feet toward Ms. Hilson's driveway, it leaves about 15 feet from the edge of the right-of-way from Rucker Lane to the edge of her driveway. So that's going to limit very much, in my opinion. I'm not a surveyor, and I don't have a site survey to look at, but just mapping it off of the tax maps available, that's going to be very restrictive as to how you're going to be able to ingress and egress out of that driveway and not back out onto Birchwood. And again, you're going to be at a busy corner, and it's already hazardous through that area. And that's our main reasons and concerns for calling in, that it would change the makeup of the neighborhood drastically, and it would start us down some changes that would be detrimental to the neighborhood, and also it would be a safety issue from our standpoint of that much additional traffic. And also, I think it should be pointed out, which you may can see and notice on your map there, that Birchwood is a dead-end street. So there's not another out or exit there. You have to come back out onto Rucker Lane. It's the only way in and out of that street. So again, that just adds to the possibility of future accidents, and that's the last thing we need or want. So I appreciate you very much. I hope I haven't gone over too bad, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you and respect each of you and the service that you do to our community and helping us make it the place that we all dearly love, and we just want to maintain what we've been able to enjoy over these many, many years. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. We appreciate that. The next up would be the Tibbs.
Yes, hi. My name is Regina Tibbs, and I am at Block 14 of 3442 Birchwood on Brownview Acres. I'm at the dead-end portion of it, where does the turnaround begin? And while I, too, welcome neighbors, we are a very close-knit, 9-house neighborhood street that is dead-ended. I have several opposition concerns. First of all, of course, is safety. I would challenge the people to really look at the history of Rucker and how that there's been so many high-speed accidents of people leaving the drop-off of the west side of Rucker Lane and landing in that particular residence of Question's yard, sometimes opposite on the east side of Rucker, on their side, splitting trees, or in Mr. and Mrs. Polk's yard. It has happened many times. It's only getting worse. And I'm a grandmother of 6, and there is no way I would ever let my grandchildren play in a yard of that. I would question if this is going to be 2 employees and the business owner. Most people of their own private residence have multiple cars, and then you have the employees' cars, and then possibly the traffic drop-off of the children, which most of them, if they're punctual and dropping off at the same time. It's my understanding by Ms. Hilson's present hours that 6:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. For those of us who are on the street, 5 have retired, the rest have not. It is next to impossible now with the opposing road and Rucker, both between 96 and 99, to get out on that road, battling the sun and the traffic and the speed. So I would question that for safety for the children and the drivers. I also would have opposition of security because, unfortunately, the times have changed. And with us having a no outlet sign on the beginning of Birchwood, we still have constant people coming down, turning around at high speed, going into our driveways, thinking it's roads, that it's a through street. And between leaving the gravel and coming into the driveways really fast, almost hitting cars. It's supposed to be a 15-mile-an-hour dead-end street. There are children that play down here. There's no sign of children that play. We have joggers now that come across from the opposite side from the apartments and jog. And I question the security of those that just come down for curiosity's sake to walk or to whatever. I also highly question if this will open Pandora's box for not just a 4 or 6 children, but a true business, and it opening up more business and changing our zoning. And I know right now they say it's not going to happen, but we've been here 23 years, and we have been in the past, and you can document this, involved in a lawsuit to fight being zoned in city and remaining in county. We bought here 23 years ago because it was quiet, it was private, it was off traffic, and it was residential. And I know that growth has happened. It will continue to happen. But, you know, bottom line is those of us who have been here quite a while, we feel like it's a little bit of an unfairness to ask newcomers to cause us to change. And so for that, I'm in opposition of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ms. Tibbs. The next online is Pamela Ferry. Go ahead.
She may have not answered. Nunnally looks like she's next. So,
Who do you have?
I'm here.
Miss Nunnally. Apparently,
Okay.
Miss Ferry may have changed her mind.
Nunnally then is online. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak as well. Hoyt covered most of my concerns, but obviously the traffic is a major concern for everyone in our neighborhood because the Rucker reconstruction just continues to be pushed back, and it is very, very difficult to get out onto Rucker, especially during rush hour, going and coming. Luckily, those of us who live on Meadowwood have another way out, but Birchwood is a dead end, so there's nowhere to go. I'd like to confirm that, I'm pretty sure I heard this a while ago, but I would like to confirm that the residents and the business, the Elizabeth Grace Child Care, that they are relocating to this address. And this will be this isn't, I want to confirm that this is not a second location for that child care, I suppose. We just want to make sure that, it is, we have a wonderful residential neighborhood, and of course we love to keep it that way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up, I have the Culp. Is that who you have?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Charles Cole. I live across the street from the proposed child care center. I live at 3412 Birchwood Circle, and I am extremely concerned about their safety as well as the safety of our residents trying to get in and out on Rucker Lane. We've lived here for 42 years. I have had my fence torn down where cars have wrecked, lost control on Rucker, and ended up in my backyard, just narrowly missing my air conditioner on the house. I've had a dump truck with 20 tons of rock and gravel that dumped into the shoulder, the berm there between my fence and the road. The right-of-way that she is thinking of the flags that were marked on it were not the right-of-way flags. Those were flags that had been put down marking an underground fiber optic cable and utilities when they did some work on opening up the road across from us, Swanholm Drive. So those flags that she has seen are not the right-of-way. They're just utility markings. As I said, we've been here for 42 years. There have been numerous wrecks on Rucker. It has slacked off now because of the lack of travel because of COVID, but that is picking up. Rucker Lane at times is like a raceway. Between cars and motorcycles. The speed limit is 40, but a lot of times traffic is running at 60 or better. I'm trying to make it as quickly and brief as I can. I'm not in favor of a commercial business operating in a residential area. As I said, we've been here a long time. We love this area. We moved here because of the uniqueness of it being rural and quiet and
cul-de-sac.
The cul-de-sac, we don't want to lose that. Now her driveway is going to be very close to Rucker when it gets widened. Her option would have to be to put in a circular drive to avoid backing out. And I know that if 2 or 3 people are dropping off their children at the same time, and if someone is running late going to work, they're not going to pull into the driveway. They're going to go down to the end of the cul-de-sac, turn around, and pull out or park on the street. And there is really no area to park on the street. We have school buses picking up our school children at 6:15 to 6:30 in the morning. So we have that problem, and dropping off in the 3:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon at the corner of Rucker and Birchwood. With the opening up of Swanholm Drive, traffic has increased with residents from the apartments using that as a shortcut to get away from Franklin Road. When they start developing those 2 parcels on Swanholm Drive, traffic is going to be horrendous, more so than what it is now. Thank you very much for your time.
Wait a minute. Mr. Cupp, are you still on?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Okay, but we have a question.
I don't live out there. This is Jerry Sartain. I don't live out there, so I see that it's a cul-de-sac. Do you really think that 12 cars in a day is going to impact more than 300 apartments across the street? I'm just asking because I don't see how this lady may have to pay for someone else's development. If she puts a circular drive in where that she can pull in one and leave through the other, how is that a burden upon her neighbors, is what I'm asking.
That would mitigate quite a bit of the burden if her clients used the circular driveway. We're just concerned about the amount of traffic that is already on Rucker with people coming in and then adding another dozen or so cars twice a day, and sometimes even more than that.
Thank you, Mr. Cupp. We understand where you're coming from. The next we have is Mr. Harrell. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Ben Harrett. I live at 3431 Birchwood Circle. I'm actually a newcomer to this neighborhood. We moved here about a year ago, sank a lot of money into renovation of property. And our primary concern is, it's multifold, I guess, in this. One, Are we talking about obvious signage visible from the exterior on this? 2, this turnaround drive, is it going to empty onto Birchwood or onto Rucker? And 3, as others have already said, there's that concern of this being a foothold for a zoning change on a old established neighborhood. I mean, this is medium residential. These houses were all built in the 70s and 80s. These are well-established homes with larger lots. It's a rarity in Murfreesboro to find a neighborhood like this that's not governed by an HOA. I'm concerned about property values. I'm concerned about rezoning, that this may be a foothold into that. I'm concerned about losing a house that we just moved into and sunk quite a bit into renovating. I'm also concerned about the square footage of these homes. I mean, these are homes in the 2,000 to 2,500 square foot range, and if we're talking about running a child care business out of an old brick house with a 2,000 to 25 square foot range, is that nearly enough space for that many kids? For all these reasons, I am against it, and I'd love to see answers to all those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Herrick. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Does anyone else? Do we have anyone else? Record shows we do not, so we will close the public hearing. Are there any discussion? I might point out to everyone, those of you, I hope you're still listening, traffic problems is all over this county. I don't know what we're going to do about it as long as we keep growing like we are. It doesn't matter where you live. It's just overwhelming sometimes. And I live on Thompson Lane, so I get the brunt of traffic. I don't know that we have a good answer for that. I don't think the Board of Zoning Appeals is a good place to take care of that, but we do have a road board and we do have a sheriff's department. If people are speeding, if they're being reckless, you probably ought to call and tell them what's going on out there. You have a road board representative out there, and I understand this area is going to be widened. So I don't know if that'll help or not, but we do understand where all of you are coming from, and we do respect your opinions, and we take that into consideration. Do we have any further discussions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. For the ones out in, this is Gary Farley, one of the board members. I lived out there for 36 years. I traveled Rooker Lane for 36 years. What Mr. Culp and Mr. Harris and Mr. Owen all said, 100% the truth. That is a dangerous highway with, in my opinion, when the development there on Swanholme Road or whatever is actually done, and when the road is widened, and from what Hoyt said, there's 80 feet right away, 40 on each side from the center lane. It's going to do something to her driveway. That intersection right there is going to be bad. With people getting out of Birchwood, coming out of this daycare center or whatever. I personally have a concern for safety, whether it be now that it's not developed and also in the future when it is developed. I represented that area there for 20 years on the county commission. If I was a county commissioner today, I'd be standing right here in front of you telling you I don't support it. And with that being said, the county commissioner in that area today contacted me yesterday and was asking questions about this, and he asked me to relay this to this board, that he is not in favor himself due to the same concerns that I've got as far as safety. So with that being said, I told him that I would pass that on, and I wanted to also say that what my thoughts were at this time concerning this.
Any further comments? I'll entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that that we deny the request based on it being a safety issue in the area.
I'll second.
Say that again, please.
I make a motion that we deny the request based on it being a
Denied.
Denied.
Okay. I want to make sure I heard that right. And we have a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
No.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
No. It is denied. The next item of business is a request from Sean Gaines, who is requesting a special exemption approval for accessory dwelling. And what do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-12 involves the property located at 1958 Orchard Park Drive. It is a request for special exception approval for an accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the design standards for ADUs involving a property in the RM zone. And Mr. Goins is requesting to establish the accessory dwelling unit in the existing garage. A family member will reside within the accessory dwelling unit. And the reason that he is appearing before you today is that the square footage of the accessory dwelling unit exceeds the 25% maximum for an attached accessory dwelling unit. And that is the only reason he's appearing before you. It will measure 38% of the principal dwelling, whereas the limit's 25%. So apart from that, we find that the request meets the criteria for special exception approval. We received one informational call regarding this request. They did not indicate opposition or being in favor. And these are photos of the layout of the garage. There will be no changes to the exterior. As you can see, this is the existing home. We posted a sign on the property, and these are the surrounding areas. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Mr. Goins, do you have, I'm assuming that's who's on here now, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
It's for my mom. I'm just building an apartment for my mom. She couldn't take care of the house anymore, so I bought the house and I agreed to build an apartment in the garage, and that's all it is.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it? Any further discussion? Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. Is there any further business?
No, sir.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Good meeting. We are adjourned.